The Eagles are being forced to take a huge risk, as the latest news from the Birds' offensive coordinator search reveals that Philly has likely missed out on their top targets, so now they must pivot elsewhere. And while there are still some top options out there, why could the riskiest move of all turn out to be the right one? Plus, I'll give you the latest on the other candidates, including a new name that was just added to the list, as well as break down the reasons why the Birds' top targets might have turned away from Philly. And also, we have a new update on the A.J. Brown trade situation, so let's dive into all that and more starting right now. What's going on, guys? So, as I'm sure you've all seen by now, one of the biggest coaching dominoes of the entire NFL offseason just officially fell, and it's not what Eagles fans were hoping for, as their top OC target and former Miami Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel is now officially off the board. As after a long list of interviews for different head coaching jobs and offensive coordinator jobs across the league these past few weeks, McDaniel finally made his decision late on Tuesday night, with Adam Schefter and Jeff Darlington reporting that McDaniel would be teaming up with Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert in LA and become the new offensive coordinator of the Chargers. And Jeff Darlington actually also expanded further as it pertains to Philly specifically, tweeting out, quote, "The Bucs and the Eagles both pursued McDaniel as their top OC target. The Bucs were especially diligent in their courtship, and McDaniel was very engaged with them throughout. Ultimately, the lure of getting back to California and coaching Justin Herbert proved strongest." Plus, E.J. Smith revealed the Eagles actually did meet with McDaniel this week, but it wasn't even in person. It was just a virtual meeting, and even though it was an in-depth meeting, McDaniel obviously went on to choose the Chargers anyway. So, based on that, I think it's pretty safe to say that Mike McDaniel just didn't want to come to Philly for whatever reason. And who knows the exact reason for that? Maybe it's the cold weather in Philly, or maybe he just felt like his style of offense didn't fit super well with the Eagles personnel and their style, or maybe he just felt like it was a culture mismatch and his coaching style didn't fit in Philadelphia. Vic Fangio did leave Miami's culture to come to Philly, so who knows honestly, but at the end of the day, Mike McDaniel is the new Chargers OC, and it stinks, because I really would have loved to see what this Eagles offense and Jalen Hurts would have looked like under McDaniel, and even though it might not have been the most seamless fit, I have no doubt in my mind that he would have had a ton of success with this Eagles offense. So again, it sucks. And I also do think that McDaniel is making a mistake here. I get wanting to coach Justin Herbert. He's obviously a phenomenal talent and he's put up great numbers. Plus, he's probably more of a natural fit into McDaniel's offense than Jalen Hurts is. So again, I get it, but also, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles have had 1,000 times more playoff success than Justin Herbert and the Chargers, and we've seen throughout the Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni era in Philly, if they have a good offensive coordinator, they go to the Super Bowl. And then that OC gets a head coaching job. So it's crazy to think that McDaniel passed that opportunity up, especially considering that literally the last two Eagles offensive coordinators that went to the Super Bowl and then got head coaching jobs both came directly from the Chargers and worked with Justin Herbert right before they came to Philly. Those, of course, being Shane Steichen and Kellen Moore. And also, side note, I find it so funny and so infuriating that the media is taking McDaniel's decision as yet another opportunity to trash Jalen Hurts, when you literally have evidence of multiple OCs prior having more success with Jalen Hurts than with Herbert. Like, the Hurts hate is so forced and so crazy to me. But yeah, when you look at the recent history, it seems like the Eagles OC job is clearly the better position to be in if you're Mike McDaniel. But nevertheless, he's going to the Chargers now, so the Eagles got to pivot. So after that, I think the Eagles' top target clearly switched over to Brian Daboll, and he actually just had a formal interview with the team on Tuesday, and it seemed like the Eagles were making a real push to land him, with Jeff McClain tweeting out after the interview, quote, "Eagles interviewed Brian Daboll today for their OC vacancy," NFL sources said. Daboll's clearly a top target for Team Brass. There is also internal support to bring in someone who would make significant changes to the offense. So that got me excited because that is exactly what the Eagles need, real change on offense. Now, Mike McDaniel was obviously choice number one, which even though they didn't get him, that's exciting because, again, it shows you that the Eagles do want to shake things up completely on offense. Better route trees, better play design, better formations, more motion, more routes over the middle, a more creative run game, and just someone who can run this offense and call plays and sequence plays at a high level. And when Brian Daboll has had the talent, like he did in Buffalo, he's been able to do that. And he would come in here, just like he did with Josh Allen in Buffalo, and build an offense to try and get the most out of Jalen Hurts and play to his strengths. So again, despite potential concerns, I think Brian Daboll would be a great fit here in Philly as the offensive coordinator, and he would shake things up completely. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen either, as even though he is the Birds' top target, Diana Rossini reported early on Wednesday, quote, the Eagles are conducting their offensive coordinator search with the understanding that Brian Daboll wants the Bills' head coaching job. If he doesn't land it, Daboll's expected to wind up in Tennessee as the offensive coordinator for Cam Ward and the Titans per sources. So yeah, safe to say that's not what the Eagles wanted, and the offensive coordinator search definitely isn't going according to plan. I mean, even if Daboll doesn't land the Bills job, he would then be expected to take the Titans OC spot over the Eagles, which that to me just doesn't make any sense. And it makes you question just what it is about the Eagles that makes these candidates not want to come to Philly. And there's been a lot of speculation as to why. I mean, lots of people are saying it's because they don't want to work with Nick Sirianni, which, depending on how much involvement he's going to have with the offense, that take makes sense. But I also think that a lot of that criticism is just because people hate Nick right now. And again, the reports are that the Eagles actually want to make big changes to the offense, and Jeff McClain actually said that both McDaniel and Daboll would have been given full control. So maybe Sirianni has something to do with it, but maybe not quite to the extent that people think. However, we also do have to consider that Jeff Stoutland is largely in charge of the run game, so that's something that a new offensive coordinator has to consider. And then, as Anthony DeBona pointed out, there's the question of whether A.J. Brown's even going to be here next season, or Lane Johnson, who's close to retirement. And then we also have to realize that being the Eagles OC is one of the highest pressure jobs that you can have in the NFL. And if you fail, you get fired, and your career takes a bad turn. So who knows? All that might factor into it. But whatever the reason, it sucks that it looks like the Eagles missed out on their top two targets. And, again, this offensive coordinator search definitely isn't going according to plan. So where do the Eagles go from here? Well, I think the clear next choice, if Daboll does get the Bills job and he's open to it, would then be former Bills OC Joe Brady, who we talked about in my last video, but he's someone with a ton of experience calling plays and running an offense. His track record is great, going back to his days at LSU with the loaded offense of Burrow, Jefferson, and Chase, but also here in the NFL during his years with the Buffalo Bills. They've consistently had great, productive offenses under him, even with a lack of elite talent at the wide receiver position. Josh Allen obviously won MVP in 2024 under Brady, and he's someone that would come in here and make changes to this boring, stagnant offense. He would help reinvigorate the passing game and fix a lot of the problems there and just make life easier on Jalen Hurts. And then in the running game, the Bills were number one in that area this past season. So safe to say, Brady would likely be a great fit for the Birds and all the talent that they have. The problem, though, is that it looks like he's probably going to get a head coaching job. So as much as I would love him, I'm not going to get my hopes up there either. And honestly, after him, there's not really anyone that excites me that much. Now, Cliff Kingsbury is still out there, and I'm definitely hoping the Eagles give him a look, which they haven't yet for whatever reason. And also, Frank Reich is someone that I think they should at least pay some mind to, but again, they haven't really been linked to him either. So who among the guys that Philly has actually been connected to is the best option? Well, honestly, again, none of them really excite me very much. I mean, I guess I'd be cool with Bobby Slowick, to be honest, although there are also risks there. But if we get the announcement that Zac Robinson or Bob Cooter's the offensive coordinator, I'm not going to be too excited about that. However, there is one name on the list that's definitely a big risk, but it might just work out. That being former Ole Miss and now LSU offensive coordinator Charlie Weis Jr. Now, the risks are that he obviously comes from college, he's never called plays at the NFL level, plus since he is young and more inexperienced, he might get a little less control of the offense and a little more Sirianni influence than, say, a more experienced guy would. However, that last part is speculation, and there's plenty of positives as well. I mean, Weis Jr. has proven that, at least in college, he's a very good play caller, he's got a good feel for the game and can sequence things well, and he would be someone that brings in new ideas, tries new things, and would be aggressive and just would build an offense that sets Jalen Hurts up to have success. I mean, Weis Jr. has been lauded as a great football mind by many, and even though a lot of his success can also be credited to Lane Kiffin, Weis Jr. has learned a lot from him. He spent many years under Kiffin, and the hope would be that he can help translate a lot of those ideas and concepts to an NFL offense. And he also did have success this year after Kiffin left Ole Miss for LSU, and the Rebels went on a run in the playoffs and even beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. So yes, it would be a huge risk, but at this point, I think Weis Jr. is one of the Birds' best remaining options. Speaking of which, though, a new name was just added to the Eagles OC search, that being soon-to-be former Chiefs offensive coordinator and former Bears head coach Matt Nagy, as the Eagles apparently just interviewed him on Wednesday. And this is another guy that would be a huge risk. I mean, on one hand, he's got a ton of NFL coaching experience. He spent a lot of time under one of the greatest head coaches and offensive minds ever in Andy Reid, and he's been a part of 2 Super Bowl winning teams for the Chiefs, and he did have success in year 1 as the Bears head coach, winning the NFC North and going to the playoffs, which that team also had Vic Fangio as the defensive coordinator, and they also went to the playoffs again in 2020, although they were just 8-8. However, Nagy also couldn't find sustained success in Chicago, both offensively and team-wide, and then since he's been back in Kansas City, he doesn't call the plays, but he has been heavily involved with the offense and play design, and Casey's offense has struggled, as they've been very inconsistent at times and haven't looked nearly like the same lethal offense that they were when Eric Bieniemy was there. So, do I think he's the worst candidate? No, and I think the experience there is valuable, but I would 100% prefer somebody else, and he kind of falls into the same category as guys like Zac Robinson and Bob Cooter for me. Like, I definitely do not prefer him. And I think, this just goes to show you, like, again, the direction of this Eagles offensive coordinator search is pretty frustrating right now. Like, losing out on their top guys, and now we're probably going to have to settle for somebody like Matt Nagy or someone in this category. Like, it's just, it's very frustrating and pretty disappointing. But I am curious to get your guys' thoughts on that. And also, switching topics now, we got a new update on the whole A.J. Brown trade situation, as ESPN's Jemery Fowler went on WIP on Tuesday, where he said, quote, "An A.J. Brown trade is possible this offseason. Some league executives have felt that way since October." So there we have an official report from an NFL insider saying that an A.J. Brown trade is possible, which I don't think that's much of a surprise. I mean, we probably could have all guessed that. But now, getting an official report is definitely very noteworthy. And then on top of that, Fowler went on to write an article making bold trade predictions for the NFL offseason, and in it, he made several predictions for A.J. Brown, as he listed the Bills as the top landing spot, which definitely makes sense considering their need at wide receiver, but also listing the Titans, Browns, 49ers, and Raiders as other potential landing spots. And those are obviously all just predictions, and we'll get more into that as the offseason goes on and more reports come out. But I think it's clear at this point that A.J. Brown getting traded this offseason isn't just a crazy take anymore. Like, it's a very real possibility and something that we're going to have to monitor. Now, could the Birds get the right offensive coordinator and repair things with A.J. and have him back next year? I think 100% yes, they could. But we don't really know the full extent of the situation or what exactly happened to get to this point. I mean, my hope is that it's not as bad as everyone's making it out to be, and A.J. Brown is back next year after getting the right offensive coordinator. But also, that could just be wishful thinking. So we'll see what happens, and I'll keep you guys up to date on that, the offensive coordinator search, and just everything else for the Eagles this entire offseason. So if you don't want to miss anything, make sure you subscribe and you turn on notifications. And also, drop a like down below to show some support, because it really does help me out a ton. Let's see if we can get to at least 500 likes today. That would be greatly appreciated. And also, hit the hype button, because that helps me out a ton as well. And leave a comment down below. Who do you think the Eagles are going to get at offensive coordinator? What are your thoughts on McDaniel to the Chargers, Daboll to the Titans or Bills? Just again, give me your thoughts down in the comments below. And also, if you do want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this one out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.